Now, in its 12th year, this is Bennett. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody. This is Alex, and this is the Ramble.
Ladies and gentlemen, out to San Francisco we go for another edition of What's Up, Larry?
Yes, what's up with...
What's up?
I have to tell you, the other day it was rainy. I'd gone for a jog,
Yeah?
and I was coming in. I was almost in my door, and suddenly this SUV pulls up and goes, Larry, that's a couple. And this guy goes, are you doing comedy anywhere? And I walked over I didn't know who they were. I walked over and started talking to them, and the guy goes, this is my girlfriend. She loves that sound you make. And I go, oh, really? I said, hold on. I ran in the garage. I brought it, gave him one of those buttons.
You're giving them away, aren't you? I mean, how do you expect to sell any if you're just giving them away?
Yeah, I got to make a profit, but it was just when they told me they liked that sound so much, I had to give them one. So.
Oh, okay. Did you find out how they knew you, where they knew you from?
They just said they'd seen me at comedy. They didn't say where, so it was kind of weird. So.
Yeah.
But when you've been doing comedy forever in a small city like this, so if you do get recognized, like I probably get recognized twice a month walking around here.
Now, I remember a time when you couldn't walk down a street somewhere where there wasn't a comedy club or somebody doing comedy. How many comedy clubs are in San Francisco now?
There's a Punchline in Cobb's, and that's pretty much, there's a bunch of some of the younger comics do one-nighters in bars around here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, certain bars have found that it's cheap to do comedy,
Very cheap, yeah.
Because they don't have to pay the comics much.
But when you were here, we had 5 clubs. We had the Other Cafe, the Holy City Zoo, Cobb's, the Punchline, and the Improv.
Wow. Well, I mean, and then you had a lot of clubs outlying. You had clubs like Tommy T's and San Leandro.
Oh, there were like 14 full-time clubs in the Bay Area in '88.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing. You didn't really have to go on the road to make a living here.
Yeah, you could pretty much stay in San Francisco and make a good living.
Yeah, it was great.
And the clubs paid pretty well, didn't they?
They pay what they're paying now. So back then, that was a lot of money.
Yeah. And now it's the same thing? They haven't changed what they pay?
No.
What's with people?
An opening act at a major club gets $50 a set. It was that same way 40 years ago.
Wow.
Which is pretty outrageous. But
well, they don't. They want to make a big profit, and they got.
Oh, and there's so many people doing comedy. They want to get into comedy. They'll do it for that.
And you know what they do?
Problem.
They have these nights where, hey, come on down to our comedy club. You can get in for free. You just there's like a 12-drink minimum.
12-drink minimum at $15 a drink.
Yeah, but I mean it's like a 2-drink minimum. But come on down. Admission is free.
Yeah, that was a kind of a rip-off. And
well, that didn't make you guys any money. That's why they're still paying you $50.
Right.
I mean, they used to have the twofers, and that was the biggest con of all time. Yeah, sure, it was 2 for the price of 1, or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But even if they let you in for free, if there's a 2-drink minimum today, you're going to spend a fortune while you're there. You bring a date, yourself, a drink. Let's say it's $15. Right there's $60 for the two of you.
And the ticket at a regular show is $28. They used to be $5 when I was in the 80s.
And what happens is they do the 2-drink minimum. They bring the 2 drinks at the same time. In other words, you don't get, hey, okay, bring me my second drink now. No, they bring both of them at the same time. And I don't
get them drunk.
And I don't drink. So, I'll just charge me to get in, for crying out loud.
Well, I looked that up. I didn't even think that would be legal to force you to buy a 2-drink minimum, but they said as long as it's posted on the front of the establishment, it is legal.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd think it wouldn't be legal because you're forcing people to...
You're forced to buy something, yeah.
And to drink 2 drinks. Do you know, I don't drink, okay? Do you know how drunk I would get on 2 drinks?
Yeah, I don't drink either, so I'd be out of my mind.
I'd be untenable. It would be terrible. I couldn't drive home, And let's say there's a 2-drink minimum. Now a person comes in, does 2 drinks at your club, gets in the car, drives home, and on the way home has a deadly accident. Can they sue the club?
That's a good point, yeah.
I would imagine you should be able to do that.
You can be sued if they cause an accident if you're serving someone that you know is obviously drunk, and you keep serving them. That people have been sued for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they should.
And so, like you said, some people can get drunk on 2 drinks. So.
You should not have people leave your establishment drunk.
No.
I don't know what we did in San Francisco when we did our shows. I don't know if there was a 2-drink minimum. I can't remember. When we did...
Depending where you did them, there would have been, yeah.
Well, we did them, at, what do you call it? We did them at the Great American Music Hall. And I'm trying to remember if they actually charged for that. We charged as little as possible for admission. I think most of my tickets were under $10. In fact, I had our recession specials, and there we brought the prices down. We felt that as long as there was a recession, why should people pay a high price to come see comedy? And I still made money, and but I don't remember if the Great American Music Hall charged for drinks. You could buy drinks, but I don't know if they had a minimum.
Yeah, I don't know if they had waiters. I don't think they forced them on you, but I could be wrong.
I would be against a 2-drink minimum because I don't want people going home drunk. I don't want them suing me, for crying out loud.
It's like a starter kit for alcoholics, You're forced to get a drink. So.
Well, most people drink.
Most people are going to have 2 drinks. I don't like the idea of forcing them to, so I figure most people are going to buy 2 anyway, but to force them I don't like it.
Yeah, to enforce it, not good. But, you've never been a drinker, right?
Never, no. I don't think I had a drink till I was 30. So.
And when you play the clubs, do they offer you a drink?
They would, but I just always ask for a Coke. So.
Okay, but they would give you a drink for nothing?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay. But you're not interested in a drink?
No.
And neither was I. So
I never liked the taste of alcohol. I don't know why people. I never could see why people drank. So.
I couldn't.
I guess it must make you feel good. I don't know.
I'm the same way. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't like the lack of control. I like to have some control over myself. Mm-hmm. And there's no control. So, I'm a lousy drunk, too, because I don't... because I don't drink. So, if I do, I'm like reeling around. The other day, I was at some place with Marjorie, and I don't know, she ordered something. Oh, they were having... it was a lunch we were doing, and they had... what do they usually have as a house drinks on a Sunday? Mimosas.
Mimosa. Heard of those.
So the people we were with, they've got a great idea. Buy a whole bottle of cheap champagne, get the orange juice, okay, and it's cheaper than for 4 people or 3 people, having them all buy separate mimosas. So they do it that way, and they put a little orange in a glass and a little bit of the champagne, and I sipped on it, and I got drunk. I mean,
really? Wow.
Yeah, because I have no control against that. Now, granted, I mean, I do heroin, but I just never drank. And a lot of people, when I would go to parties and they'd offer me a drink, I wouldn't take the drink. And they would think that I was an alcoholic in recovery.
Either that or they get mad at you if you don't drink, too.
Yeah, but basically they always thought I was drunk. I'll tell you, I actually won a court case over that. Remember the guys some guys took over the Quake? Do you remember that when we had the Quake? And they took it over, they bought the station, and they tried to get out of their contract with me. And they're meeting with my lawyers are meeting with their lawyers. Oh, boy, was that cost me $30,000, okay? But anyway, I had to get a lawyer from L.A. I got a guy who was a partial owner of the Los Angeles basketball team down there. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
The Lakers.
No, the other one.
The Clippers.
The Clippers. He owned a third of the Clippers. But he was one of the best lawyers around, and Gary hired him, okay, and brought him in to handle the case. So now they're in this room, and the people who are trying to get out of the contract with me bring up something that they think is a bad thing, and they say, well, Alex is an alcoholic. And all of a sudden, one of my lawyers starts laughing. And they said, what are you laughing about? I said, to accuse Alex Bennett of being an alcoholic is ridiculous. He doesn't drink. He never has had a drink. He's not a drinker at all. So he can't possibly be an alcoholic. And that made them shut up. But because they said it in front of other lawyers, those other lawyers said, now, you want to keep trying to get out of this contract with Alex Bennett, I would suggest you stop now because what you did was, I can't remember the exact term, but it's like implied, what's the word?
Certainly defamation.
Implied defamation. In other words, if you say, I think I've heard Larry Bubbles Brown is an alcoholic.
That could keep you from getting work.
Well, that is implied defamation.
Yeah.
And that is as bad as actual defamation. And they said, if you don't want to get out of your contract, then we're going to turn around and sue you for implied defamation. And they immediately caved.
Oh, yeah. They probably thought they didn't know that you didn't drink at all.
Oh, they thought they had something.
We'll throw that out there.
They thought they had something really big against me.
Yeah.
And that won me the case. I mean, they caved. They kept paying me for a couple of years. When I went to the other radio station paid part of my salary, but these guys had to keep paying 50% of it. So
you had to spend $30,000, but it was worth it.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it would have been better if I didn't have to spend it, but, I had the money, so what the hell, go ahead. Plus the fact that what I was making at that time from the radio station, I think they were paying me something like $125,000, $150,000 a year.
A lot of money then.
And so it was a lot of money then. Yeah, absolutely. So they had to keep paying half of that when I went to the Quake, and when I went to Live 105. Prior to that, they'd keep paying the whole thing while I sat at home getting up late. But people have often said to me, boy, that must be great not having to go to work to get paid, you know. And I said, not really. You know, it's really terrible.
Yeah, you hated it.
Well, you have to realize it's worth, $125,000, $150,000 a year for somebody to have you not come into work. You know, I mean, how committed must they be about not liking me? You know,
yeah, Jesus.
But anyway, it all worked out well, and they kept paying that money for about a year and a half, I think it was, half of it.
That long? Wow.
Yeah. Here was the best part. My general manager of the new station, Ed Cramp, came up with this idea. He said to them, look, here's what we'll do. We'll pay 40% of Alex's salary until the ratings reach where they were when he left your station. Okay. And they said, no, we're not going to make that deal. We want it 50-50. That's it. Okay. And so consequently, we went to the news station, and the first rating book that came out, I had passed the ratings at the old radio at the Quake. Okay. They would not have had to pay a penny, but they had to keep paying for the rest of that time because they said they didn't want to make the other deal. The other deal was, you know, we'll pay you 40%. We'll pay 40% of this, or maybe it was even more. Maybe it was 60. And when Bennett hits the same rating that he had at the Quake, we'll have to, you know, you don't owe us anything anymore. They didn't want that, so they had to keep paying.
So they made several bad decisions.
Does that make any sense, what I said about the deal that he made? Yeah. Yeah, so they were being just really, we know better, you know. Yeah, right. You know, what the first book, 2 months later, they wouldn't have had to pay me anything. They had to keep paying me for a year and a half. So.
A year.
and what do you call it? Live 105 had me cheap because the other guys were paying half the money. So it was a great deal. Cramp had a great deal going there. He was a big fan of sports, and that was like a sports deal, you know. They're always making deals for players not to play and things like that, you know.
Right.
But anyway, that was oh boy, that was quite a time that I went through there. I mean, I would wake up every morning and my clock radio would go off and the radio would go on and it was, remember Gene Nelson?
Yeah, KSFO.
Yeah, you remember Gene Nelson.
Right.
And for some reason, I had it on KSFO because I didn't want to have it on the Quake because it would just make me mad, you know. So I'm waking up one morning, and Gene Nelson is on the air, and he's doing some kind of riff about something. And I looked at my radio, and I said, I'm out of work, and this guy is still working? You know, there were guys in that town who worked forever. And they really weren't as good as I was. I hate to say that. I sound egotistical saying it, but it's true. You know, I mean, they weren't doing anything original. They were just doing hack stuff. And, getting minimal ratings, but at least the station felt they weren't a problem at all to them. So, anyway.
What did Quake replace you with?
The Quake? I don't know what they replaced me with. To be very honest with you, I couldn't tell you. They had some kind of morning show going, but they changed the name from the Quake to something else, and they changed the music format, you know. So it didn't really matter what they were doing in the morning, you know. They were trying to appeal to people with the music, not with some kind of show that was fun.
Right, and when they first started, they were kind of big for a while.
You know, people say, did you hate playing music? And I went, well, I did it for a long time in my career, but I disliked playing music. And they said, why? And my answer was, because you're using somebody else's talent to get you through.
Yeah.
If you think about it, a music show is using other people's talents, whoever the musicians are that, do the music. Period. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to say, hey, that's my show, and I'm doing it. I'm not relying on music to get me through. And I think that was pretty much true, so.
Yeah, plus the type of show you did, music kind of interrupted the flow of it.
I often said I play music on my show only because I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
We ran music. In the first hour of the show, we would run a bit of music, especially because I didn't get there till about 7 minutes after. And we would play a lot of music, in the first hour. And in the last hour, we'd start playing some music. But the middle 2 hours, we didn't play music at all.
No.
Unless something was happening where we needed the time, we needed to go to music to do something, so.
I remember a lot of times you would actually go over, and sometimes the show would go till 10:30 if you had an interview or something you liked.
Yeah. We had that ability, and then oddly enough, Howard Stern did the same thing. He sometimes would just go over. He never said, "Okay, I'm doing a 4-hour show." He would say, "I'm doing a show that's 4 hours plus whatever I need to finish it," and that's kind of what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fine. That was good. But why do I keep waxing poetic about the old days? They don't exist anymore. Radio doesn't exist anymore.
Sad. We tried to bring it back.
Yeah, but, we got all these podcasts. Yeah. How many did I see? Something like 40,000 podcasts worldwide. That's a lot of...
At least, I would think maybe even more.
That's a lot of untalented noise.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's just incredible. And, what are the people getting for it? Oh, they've got maybe they got a favorite podcast. But then again, all these stations like MS Now and whatever are doing podcasts. And because they can promote them on their TV station constantly, they're the ones that make some kind of money and get some kind of traction. Me, a guy like me, how do they even know I exist? In that noise of 40,000 podcasts?
How could you stand out?
Yeah, how do you stand out? Well, you can stand out by being absurd, and saying ridiculous things, and that's what a lot of the biggest ones have done.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm there's no radio anymore. Okay, just be honest about it and have done with it.
Yeah, too bad. But...
Well, I feel bad because I grew up on radio. I grew up listening to the Bennies and the Edgar Bergens and even Fanny Brice what was she played a kid? I'm trying to remember the kid now. So it was, I grew up on all those shows. And so that informed my sense of what radio could be. And that's what I tried to do. My morning show, people go, oh, it's so great, something so new. And I went, no, this is the oldest thing you'll ever hear.
Mm-hmm.
A show that cared about entertaining you, and did it at any cost. But anyway, I grew up on radio, and I loved radio, and I loved what you could do with it. I love the fact that, especially, people said, well, it's not as good as television. I said, no, it's far more visual, because we create visualness in your mind. That makes sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's a station here that plays old-time radio shows like 1 in the morning, and it's like these old dramas and everything, and they're really good.
Yeah. I like the comedy more than I like the dramas. you know. I felt that when you had people like Jack Benny, Benny was the perfect radio show. Just the perfect radio show.
The best.
Yeah, the best. Although the biggest show, who was the biggest show in radio?
That I don't know.
Amos and Andy.
Amos and Andy. Okay.
Yep. Two white guys playing black guys. and everybody complained about that, except for the fact they didn't notice that for a time when blacks didn't get a lot of major jobs, the rest of the cast on that show were all black. So, you know, they did something good rather than bad. Hey, I just looked at the clock. Guess what? Time's up,
time.
Larry.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll see you again, hopefully,
See you next week.
Next
yeah.
week. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Yes, that is his middle name.
Now, in its 12th year, this is GabNet. Talk now like you've
in
never
its 12th
heard. This is Gab.
Oh God, I'm not doing it right tonight. I'm screwing up like crazy. Boy, I screwed up at the beginning. We didn't get ourselves online in time, and then now we did that, and I went to push another button, and I wanted to push this button actually, and then you could have heard that whole announcement, you see, with that. And I was going to change it over during the show, but I didn't. So there we go. I'm sorry, folks. I don't do very well anymore. I don't know what my problem is. You know what it is? I don't do the show for a day, so I come back here. I found out that when we usually do the okay, you could hear me there. Okay. When I came on here, a certain button was off and I couldn't hear myself, but you could probably hear me. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I shouldn't take the night off. Then it'll give me a day to know where everything is again. But I don't do things right. I fall apart. I just, it's really not. I'm thinking, I'm making so many mistakes lately that it makes me wonder whether I am any good. Or is it maybe I smoke pot too much during the day? I don't know, but it's one thing or another. Anyway, be happy to know I have a new tooth. See right there? See that one right there? Yeah, that one right there. Yeah, that one. That's a new tooth. Well, it's not a tooth, it's a crown. And it's a nice crown. It took her forever to put it in. Man, she's grinding away and she's getting it just right. And I think she did a really good job of it, By the way, how many of you out there have crowns? I've told this story before. I had a girlfriend named Xanthi, and she used to work to get herself through school at a place that made crowns and then would deliver them. And she told me the story about crowns. She says, you know how much Dennis pays for a crown? I said, no. She said, they double the price of the crown. Yeah. Now, why? I don't know why this isn't allowed, but why don't these crown companies install their own crowns? Right? Like say, come to us, we'll give it to you for half price, and we'll install them for you. And we'll make them right here too. All right. Anyways, I left. She had this thing on her table that was I'd go over here and get it. That was literally a thing of 4 of my teeth in a row, and the one that she was going to put in there is of course there as well, and that came from the company that makes the crowns. Because now they don't. Remember they used to make you go down and you'd have to get into this squishy stuff in your mouth, and it would make a mold of your teeth. Then they would make a whole mold and send it over to the crown people. Now they don't do that. What they do is they take a laser and they make a picture of your mouth for them. And so they don't get one of those impression things. They get a picture of your mouth, and then where that tooth is going to go. And then they make the tooth to fit in there. Now, it doesn't always fit when they get it to the dentist. The dentist has to cut it down and, cut around it and get it so that it fits just right. But nevertheless, that crown, right? Your dentist doubles their price on that crown. So if a place said, okay, come into us, we make the crowns, we'll charge you half price, and we'll charge you maybe another $50 to put it in, okay? Then they could eliminate the dentist, and I could go somewhere and get my crown made and take my choices, right? Yeah. Just an idea, folks, just an idea. So is everything going good? Is the picture good? Everything looks nice? Everything looks right? Then maybe it's time to start bringing people in here. Let me see. Let me start admitting all, as I say. And, we hope that, this isn't set so that it does what I wanted it to do tonight. You see, I have a new way of doing this. Here we go. Let's go over to Zoom panel. There we go. And we transition over to here. There you go. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Good, thank you.
Are you all fine and dandy?
Perfect.
Where are you now, Jeff?
Florida.
You're Florida. You're not supposed to go to Florida during the summer. You're supposed to go there during the winter.
I know, but my sister is getting married.
Oh, I see. So that's why you're there.
So I got to stick here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look what I can do now, folks. Look at this. Wait a minute, you can't see it out there, but the audience can see it. I can have a picture under this picture. Or a color.
It just changed. The whole background changed.
Huh? Yeah. See?
It changed from
I can do
black.
that. And if I'm having a birthday, I can do this. And it's a birthday thing. See?
Yes.
And if I want to do that, I do that. And if I don't want any of it, I will just do away with it, okay, by going over here and setting wallpaper, none. Okay, there we go. Wait a minute, it'll be there in a second. None. There we go. You see, folks? Isn't that wonderful?
So smart.
It doesn't look good, so I'm not going to do it. Anyway, how you guys doing?
Good.
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 Kevin, how you doing up there in Oregon? Looks it's still afternoon over there, or late afternoon.
Yep.
Yep, and you enjoying it up there?
Yeah.
You glad you made the move? No remorse?
Yeah. Except when I'm working.
Except when you're around there.
There's a lot more work to do.
Yeah, yeah. But it keeps
But
you.
that's okay.
It keeps you healthy, doesn't
I
it?
spent the day burning things.
Well, like what?
Go.
Oh, shrubs and sticks and all this stuff I cut down with chainsaws. And
I think you'd save that. Do you have fireplaces in that place?
no, I just do it on the grounds.
Yeah, but you don't have any fireplace in that. House.
Here in the house, yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't you save some of that stuff for the winter?
It's all twigs and brush.
Oh, okay. Well, but you can use that for kindle.
Yeah, I got enough of that.
Oh, okay.
There's no shortage of wood around here.
You know what I used to do when I make a fire? I used to make a fire, and I had a couple of places that had, like I have fireplaces here, okay? But what I did in the old days is to make a great fire, I would go out and buy what they call fire coals that you put underneath, and that would keep the fire going forever. You just poured the logs on there, and that was all, but it kept it
Yeah,
going.
the wood stove does that.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
Yeah.
Once you get it going, you just drop a log on, drop a log
Yeah,
on.
so
drop a
I
log.
would put all the coals down there, and I put some paper around them, and then I'd get some little fluid or something, get the coals really going, and then I would bank. I banked the wood. You have to bank the wood so there's a flue going through.
Got to get it air, yeah.
Yeah, and I still do that here, but I don't have the coals. And one time I did it so hot that I almost had to move out of the apartment for the night because it was just so hot, the apartment. And
That
when I
happens here,
came
too.
when I came down in the morning after it had gone out, the andiron had completely melted. You know you've had a hot fire when you got the andiron to melt.
It was nice and warm.
Yeah, really nice and warm. I'm telling you. So anyway, and hello to Josh Wheeler, who's down in, is over in, where are you? I forget what state you're in again. You're in Ohio, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
See, I got it right. I got it right.
You did?
And you're where in Ohio again?
Yeah, I live about 25 minutes south of Columbus, so
Okay.
almost right in the middle.
So is it a town that you live in that we should know about?
It's a village, no, it's a really tiny, like little rural, just farming community called Asheville. But
So you don't have many people living around you then, or do you?
it's a small community. So I live in a housing development. So I have neighbors and everything, but it's I don't know what the population is. It's maybe like, I don't know, 1,000 or something like that.
1,000? That's not a lot at all.
I can't remember. Like most states have like parameters for what's considered, like a village, a city, whatever. So it's a village. So it's beneath whatever the threshold is. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's
A little town with a bunch of farmers that fly their Trump
well, there's
flag.
nothing wrong with that, I would love to live in some place with. I've thought about moving north actually, and finding a little house to rent, and living out in the woods somewhere would be nice as long as I had an internet connection, where I could do this.
It's small, but has all the amenities or whatever. But I like it like that. I wouldn't want to live in Columbus. There's too many people.
Too many
Too many people, too much traffic.
Too much traffic and too many people. Yeah. Well,
I would never live there.
You're lucky that you can live there. You really are. It's really nice that you can live there and have kind of that feeling that you're living in the country, but you're not really exactly.
Yeah, it's out there, just enough, but still accessible to more populated areas if you need, more advanced hospitals or something like that.
There are good hospitals nearby.
Oh, Columbus is like the 11th or 12th largest city in the United States, so and home of the Ohio State University, so. It has some major hospitals, yes, major hospitals, including Ohio State's, which is pretty big. And, this is where Les Wexner is from. So his name's all over the place in Columbus and Ohio State. But,
It's really nice.
Homeboys with Epstein, so they've been trying to take his names off all the buildings.
Oh, he put a lot of buildings up there, didn't he?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Les Wexner was from here, so the headquarters for Victoria's Secret and all that is still here because he owned it,
Right. And he was the guy that, Epstein made his big money off of, and they say he stole a lot from him.
Yeah, they have some kind of complicated thing. I've read a little bit, but, not much. But I've read enough that obviously they had some sort of something weird going on.
I'll tell you, Victoria's Secret was a good idea.
Yeah, and then he didn't actually start it. I think
he bought
some
it.
other guy started it, but he bought it like a year or 2 years in or something like that, and then made it what it was.
And then Epstein came along and helped him run it. Yeah. And then Epstein was on the outs because it turned out he was kind of stealing money, wasn't he? Isn't that
I think what it was Epstein
if I'm not
Wexner,
right, let Epstein sue me. Go ahead. Anyway.
I think what it was Wexner made Epstein like the executor of his estate or something, and people here have never really figured out why.
That was it. That was it. He made him the executor of his estate, and he started writing all the money over to himself.
Something, but like why someone like Wexner would make a guy like Epstein have that much control over his personal finances and
Well, you have to
be that
remember.
involved.
You have to remember that Epstein was a very kind of seductive guy. He really could, I mean, a lot of people. He was friends with a lot of people, and everybody says, "Oh, Clinton flew on his plane." Of course, he did. He ingratiated himself to Clinton, and gave Clinton a lot of money for his stuff. And what's wrong with that?
Yeah, I mean, overall, nothing, right?
Unless
I mean,
knew the
that's
guy
thing.
was diddling little girls, how are you corrupt in any way?
Right, I mean, which is, Clinton's entire point. He went and testified, right, like Trump won't do. And they asked him a lot of questions, and he would just say things like, yeah, you have a picture of me in a hot tub. Be like, okay, so what?
Okay, so are any of those women next to me? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have been pictured in
Well,
hot
a
tubs.
lot of careers have been ruined by an association with Epstein, and I don't know that I didn't come very close to having an association with Epstein when Bobby Slayton knew him. I mean, all Bobby had to do was invite me over to the place, like he did with so many comics, like Louis C.K.
Yeah.
went over there, and
Well, I heard like I think it was like I think maybe Bob Kerrey, right? Maybe the senator that was from Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And like after he left the Senate, he did a few other things, and he was running a nonprofit that did something, and he had reached out to Epstein and asked for money, like a lot of people were, and then had like a dinner
And by
with
the
him to
way,
discuss it.
let me just say something about Epstein. He was not cheap with his money when it came to giving money to hospitals and libraries and so on.
Yeah, which is why Bob Kerrey, I think, emailed him like 3 or 4 times and had a dinner with him. And then when the emails came out, here just like 2 or 3 months ago, the board of that place that he was running was going to like investigate and all this other stuff. And Bob Kerrey, he was on the radio explaining this. I just heard him a few weeks ago. He basically just said, you know what, if they're going to start this crap with me, I've led my life, like above reproach. I'm not going to be. He just quit. Like he fought in Korea or Vietnam, and he
Right.
won the medal. He won the
Right.
Medal of Honor.
Right.
He was a U.S. He just said, you know what, I never did a dang thing wrong, and I'm not going to be investigated because I sent a guy an email 20 years ago that I had no idea was this kind of person. I'm out. He just left.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of these people say, screw you. I didn't do anything. I knew the guy. He had money. He could, in the case of Bobby Slayton, my friend, who's been vilified about his relationship with Epstein, all Epstein ever did was introduce him to Woody Allen, and he got 2 movies out of it and a TV show, and he was very good at hooking people up like that. And Bobby quit going over to his place because he brought his girlfriend over once, and Epstein got very handsy with her. So, and Bobby just told him, he said, that's unacceptable, and I know you're putting me up when I come to New York and so on, but to hell with you, that's not right of you to do that.
Yeah. No, but they, in Columbus, they have the Wexner Center for the Arts, and they have the Wexner blah 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 Cancer Center at the James for the Ohio State University and all, and they want to get it all changed and all that.
Well,
Wexner, he does have a lot of creepiness to him. I will say that.
Well,
I mean,
that could be, but he also, he's a weird guy, I hear.
yeah, right.
But he took his money and he spent it on good things. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm worth billions, and what do I want to do with this money?"
Yeah.
And he built libraries, and he built maybe theaters, and I don't know what else he built in the area.
Right.
And that's a good thing,
Yeah, he was pretty connected with the Ohio State University, so.
I mean, what's his name, Mr. Tesla, Elon Musk, has $18 billion. Can you imagine having $18 billion?
I
Right?
can imagine it.
You can imagine it, yeah, and you better
that's about
continue imagining it.
That's right.
You know, I mean, but I
Give me a
mean, you
good
think
wallet.
about that, and you know that guy could probably take care of everybody's health in this country and still have lots of money left over. I mean, how rich do you want to be? What are you going to do with that money?
Well,
You know?
no,
I mean, you could do a lot of good with it, and then you can go to sleep at night, or you can do a lot of just nothing with it, and it sits there and it's just money, you know? That could
I'll
be.
tell you, I would have Halle Berry as my personal instructor. You know, I mean,
Well, after you spent that 100,000, how do you spend the rest of the 80 billion?
you're gonna have a nice car like a Cadillac, the electric Cadillac.
And after you spent another 150,000, what would you do the rest with the rest
Who
of
the
the
hell knows? Send
80
it to
billion?
Jeff to wake him up. I don't know.
You know?
but I'm sure when the time comes, Trump will go testify about what he knows. I'm sure it's just that he's busy now. So
Well, he's very
I'm sure when
busy.
the time comes, he'll go testify.
Yeah, he's mentioned how many times did they say 30,000 times in the Epstein files? Maybe more than that.
I'm not sure. You know,
That's the ones that are
but I mean,
unredacted.
Yeah.
we don't need him to testify though, because Miss Maxwell assured us that he was always a gentleman when she was around, and she made very clear she never saw him do anything wrong or anything even approaching.
And you
anything
know, the
wrong.
latest skinny on that is that they're going to do away, that she's going to be given a pardon
I would
by the
doubt it.
president.
He pardons so many people that what's one more?
Yeah, yeah. And then she'll put him in his cabinet. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Investigating sex crimes.
Exactly, exactly.
Expert.
Special
Well, we
liaison to the Department of Justice, or probably make $300,000-$400,000 a year doing it.
You know,
so.
we're in deep shit. We really are.
not?
We really are. I mean, this man is. He's so far gone, it's ridiculous. Remember how he used to call Joe Biden Sleepy Joe? This guy can't stay awake in a press conference.
Yeah, well,
You know?
He's going to the correspondence dinner. Was it tomorrow night?
Yeah, he'll probably sleep
Yeah.
halfway through it.
Yeah.
is he actually going to go? I never
Yeah, he
heard.
said he was going.
Normally he
But he
Can't
also
do that
said
'cause
that
he gets
he
all,
also
you
said
know.
that he was going to give a 1-hour speech. So I imagine he'll probably put everybody to sleep with that shit.
Well, he says he
And then
has
probably
to.
warned everybody that's going to try and talk shit about him. And
No,
probably,
I always watch the correspondence dinner, but if he's going to go and talk for that long, I
Well,
don't-
no, they
I-
say
I
he's
can't.
hired comedy writers.
he has O's
Oz is the guy's
Oz.
name. Oh, is it Oz?
O's.
Oh, the mind
mean, I'm-
reader? The mind reader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been trying really hard to be, respectful and less negative and hateful, but he makes it
Well,
very
what can be
hard.
funnier than the Trump that already exists?
Well,
I mean, once he leaves office, or if he dies tomorrow, these late night comics will have nothing to talk about.
Nothing.
it'd be rough.
You know, he is the greatest thing to happen to comedy and the worst thing to happen to this country.
Yep.
But this footage they get, if you watch Colbert and then you watch The Daily Show, and then you watch, watch them one right after the other, they've all got the same footage because it's all hilarious, you know? And they can make fun of it and so on. But there's nothing, there's nothing funny about him as a president, but there's everything funny about him as a human being. And they're getting their money's worth, boy, He is down, by the way, he's down to, I think the latest lowest poll is 33%.
I wouldn't doubt it.
If he were to run today, he would not win. Okay. And that's amazing to me. So, hi there, Alan.
Hey, Alex. You were before you started talking about your crown, you were talking about how you're losing track of everything. You have everything under control except the electronics. And you're good at that, but You a lot of times you say, "Oh, I left this off," or "Oh, I left
If
that
I
off."
did this 5 nights a week, I would not get bad at it.
Right,
You know.
right. That's my point. My point is, you carry on a conversation with us, and
Hmm.
you're right. You're right on target all the time. So you're not losing it. It's just something that you don't work with every night
Yeah.
is the problem.
Yeah. So one thing or another, and as the equipment sits here for a day, things get shifted around, and then when I come in, I haven't noticed they've been shifted around. Okay. So.
Well, I was talking to your urologist, and they stuck an extra couple brain cells when they were in your prostate when they were giving you radioactive.
Oh, they did? Oh, okay.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. I mean,
talking to you on the show, you seem like any normal person.
I take a pill called pregabalin, and it has a tendency to ruin a lot of your basic operations like this. Your mind just kind of goes scattered. But anyway, so but I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, the other night, I screwed up on Amy. I had put down that she was going away for the last week.
That was cute.
And she wasn't. And then I screwed up her whole Wednesday show because I didn't know that. And the next morning, I said to myself, maybe I just got to stop doing this. Maybe it's time to pack it in. I'm making that kind of mistake. I would have never made that mistake before. But for some reason, I put it down this month rather than next month. So,
It happens when you get to our age.
Yeah. Well, I won't. In a couple of weeks, I won't have to worry about it at all because we'll be going to Europe. And then I can just have people take care of me. Len has made a whole list of everything, and there is no place along the trip that I am not being picked up, taken somewhere, put up somewhere, and he's got it all. So when I get to the airport back here in Newark, that there'll be a car waiting for me. And Len's doing a great job, but he's trying to make sure that I don't have to do anything.
I would like to be on a ship going through the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, we'll be close to it.
I'm sure.
Yeah, well, not that close.
Not that close. You don't want to be.
Well, the only thing I'm worried about, and Len's worried about it, Len's going on a boat for a couple of weeks before me, the same one.
Yeah.
And he's worried that the plane won't be able to get there. Because a lot of the airlines are not running their flights now, or limiting their flights. We're going by, I can't remember what the first is, but coming back, it's a Portuguese flight.
Camel Airlines, yeah.
Huh?
Camel Airlines.
Yeah, whatever. And but we don't know that they aren't going to say when we get to the airport, I'm sorry, we can't take off. Why?
Right.
No fuel.
Right.
Because the fuel has to be pumped here, right? So, I mean, it could wind up, and he's worried that his flight's going to get all screwed up. But we're insured for the trip, so we get money back all the way around. But, who wants to go through that hassle? I did that once already, And they wanted me to fill out forms that took forever. And then when I did them, they didn't record well, so.
I hope Len got you a good security guard.
Who? Len?
Len, I hope he got you a good security guard to work with you.
Why do I have to have a security guard?
I don't know. You said you got everything taken care of for you.
Well, I don't have a security guard, no.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so we get on the boat, and, I'll just go sit in the cabin and stay there for the rest of the 2 weeks, Meanwhile, the one place I would like to go, it's $270 per person. But we have the ability, if I, decide to buy it, to go to Pompeii, which I think would be fascinating.
Yeah.
But then it says exertion or whatever, exhausting. It's because you got to walk too much. And and while I can walk, I don't want to have to walk to the point of exhaustion, So we can't do that, but I would love to have done that, You know, I'm almost willing to say, let's do it, and I'll see if I can walk.
Yeah.
You know, but
I mean, what's another $1,000? Who cares? You know, you'll probably never go back there again.
well, I don't mind spending it. You know, but if I
know.
get there and I go, I can't walk this. It's not going to be any fun.
Yeah,
You
that's true. That's true.
You know.
And you can just go out on the beach and enjoy the beach.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm lazy these days. Take care of me. I'm,
I know
you know. But then we're thinking of taking another trip in the close to winter through up to Alaska, because that would be the nice. I hear that's a great thing.
I've gone to Alaska on a cruise ship.
Really?
Good.
Is it good?
Yeah, it left from San Francisco and it came back to San Francisco, so you didn't have to go like Los Angeles.
Oh, I could do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
all the other ones want me to fly to like Vancouver.
Princess Cruises.
Have you done it, Jeff? Have you done it, Jeff?
Yeah, I did.
I hear it's spectacular, right? Both you guys?
Yeah, everybody
Yes.
will love it. It's
Absolutely.
terrific.
Absolutely.
Just wonderful from what I hear.
Take a jacket. It tends to be a little cold and sometimes wet up there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hear. I know that in the Antarctic thing, because Shecky did it, they actually give you the jackets when you get on the boat, and then they put you in a little rowboat and they go out, or a motorboat, and they go out and you hang out with the penguins.
Oh boy, that sounds exciting. Penguin shit all over.
Yeah,
the
well,
place.
the penguins like the shit. You know, they don't. They don't. That's one of their prime functions.
Yeah, I understand.
you know.
It smells really bad.
That's what I was told by Shecky. He said that everybody, you know, loves the penguins, and the fact of the matter is, there's nothing worse than penguin shit. And when you got 1 million of them there, all shitting at the same time, and that's all desiccated fish, all right?
Yeah.
You go whale watching, and the whales stink as well.
Do they really?
Out the blowhole, and then you get 3 or 4 of them in a pod around the boat, and it's nasty.
Man of experience.
Well, what are
here.
they? What are
Not
they
near the
excluding?
blowhole.
Are they?
Their breath.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
is that like? Do they pee that way?
No, it's their blowhole. You know, they're
Yeah, I know it's their
letting out-
blowhole.
Yeah.
Because I remember that George Costanza got a
Oh yeah.
a golf ball in one of those
Yeah.
blowholes.
Kill the whale with a golf ball in the blowhole.
Yeah, no, he saved his life by
Oh, that's
reaching
right.
down
Yeah,
and getting it. But
There he was.
Teeing off, and it went into the blowhole.
well, he didn't do it. Kramer is the one that golfed,
But he claimed he.
and then there was a golf ball in the blowhole, and he went and got it out and dropped it on the table of the cafe,
And
and
he had the story to go with it. You know,
yeah,
all
the whole
embellished.
story to go
Yeah.
with it. But anyway, so you know, I mean, so that would be a trip I would like to take. Marjorie wants to go to where is it that Darwin went? You know, Darwin's place where he went and he did he came up with a theory of evolution. Oh, boy, huh?
I don't remember.
What, the Galapagos?
Galapagos, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Marjorie wants to go to the Galapagos.
There's some strange creatures there.
Well, no, there aren't strange creatures. Here's what happened. He found this island, and he started looking at the creatures there, and they were all evolved versions of already existing species and evolving into newer species. And the reason this happened, they all came from the mainland up around Ecuador, and they would float all the way to the Galapagos, which was the center of, I don't know, the where water wound up and stuff. And they would get on little twigs and stuff, and they would go. And by the time they got there and stayed there for, I don't know, 200 years, they evolved. And so he came out with a theory of evolution. And he was right. Or maybe he was wrong. I don't know. He convinced us, okay? He convinced us. So anything in the news area that's getting to you, Josh?
It's about everything.
I mean, it's getting really stupid.
It's kind of unchanged for the last few weeks, I suppose, with the same thing pretty much, at the headlines. And you just get the new iterations of it all the time. I don't really know that. It's pretty disconnected today from it all, so I don't really know if
Well, you know
changed.
what I mentioned to Marjorie, that I think that he's doing is he's running his administration like it's a TV series.
Yeah.
I mean, everything has a plot to it. And he's doing this, and he's going to war, and whatever. But he can't stay awake long enough. He's not interested in this war anymore. He's already half asleep on that one. But yet we're stuck with it.
Well,
and why does he get out of it like we've gotten out of all other wars, like how we got out of Vietnam? You remember how we got out of there? We just said, we're going, we won the war.
Well, I'm sure that's his plan. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna take credit for ending the war there that he started.
Don't you just love how the Iranians are smarter than he is? I mean,
don't you just love how everybody is smarter than he is?
Yeah, well, but I mean that they are. It's like, oh, you're going to block the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to block the Strait of Hormuz. And everybody's taking credit for blocking the Strait of Hormuz. In the beginning, the Iranians said they were blocking the Strait of Hormuz, and so we said they can't do that. They're blocking all the oil. We'll start blocking the Strait of Hormuz. And you're going, well, wait a minute, isn't that the same thing? Weren't they doing our job for us?
Hey, here's the strange thing. We don't use any of that oil, but yet our gas prices are going up.
Well, because we sell our oil elsewhere.
Yeah, of course.
So we don't have enough here.
That's right.
So I mean, it's ridiculous, absolutely absurd, But the Iranians, to begin with, they said they destroyed almost 100% of their airplanes, and the Iranians just showed them, and they've still got 60%, and they're all underground.
Well, that was like when he got on TV and said that he wiped out his military and their air force and everything, and the very next day a surface-to-air missile shot one of our F-15s out of the sky.
Yeah. No, they've still got missiles. They've still got drones. They've still got, they say 60% of their air force.
I heard something like that on Al Jazeera, that Trump touched part of their military, but they still got most of it.
And do you know something? I just read about it today. We don't have any equipment left.
Oh, God.
Well, they're resupplying. I think the ship that got hit, it was repaired and is going back out there.
What's this? One of
them got hit by some kind of, I don't know if it was an airplane or something, some kind of missile hit it and damaged one of our ships, battleship, aircraft carrier or something. So he sent it back to America to be repaired. It's been repaired. Now he's sending it back into the Mediterranean.
No, but supposedly we've depleted most of our weaponry. Yeah. And we can't build it fast enough to resupply it. Why don't we buy it
from China or something,
I'm sure they'd be willing to sell it to us.
I'm sure they would be.
There's a reason why previous presidents haven't done this before.
Yeah. And they have a brain.
It's pretty much showing up.
Yep.
Right now.
Yeah.
Everybody, we could go in and deficit them. We could waste them out. We could, but it would deplete our whole military, and then something else happens, we're screwed. Plus,
he's
we're
firing all the generals.
What were you saying? Keep going, Kevin.
No, Alan was talking. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I talked over you. It's my fault. Go ahead, Kevin.
But that's all I was saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously there's something that he said. All the other presidents wish they had done this. Well, no, they decided not to, and there was a reason.
Right.
There was a tactical reason. To begin with, people have this notion that Iran is a country that's prehistoric practically, that it has no brains, that it has no intelligence, it has no science.
But they can produce a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, it's a very sophisticated country. It's a very sophisticated.
That's like talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna blow them out of existence. I like the way he said he was gonna bomb them back to the Stone Age, and all I could think of was, well, that'll put them 2 years ahead.
Yeah, what happened to Operation Cuba? It kind of disappeared too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody said anything about that.
No, he mentioned Cuba
next.
He mentioned Cuba the other day.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He keeps.
Maybe he's just pushing that off 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Everything's 2 weeks. Well, now he doesn't do 2 weeks anymore. I think it was 3 weeks lately. Now
I think he was talking about Cuba and said Hawaii by accident.
Well, here's the other thing that Iran knows that is a sure thing, and that is that if they just wait him out, Trump will make every kind of threat he can make, and he won't follow through on them. I'm going to bomb him back to the Stone Age. Well, when did he do that? What do they call the last one was Taco Tuesday. Yeah. Trump always chickens out. That's what it stands for.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on. The Iranians know that they can say, "No, we're not going to have the peace talks. Screw you." And it's not. And Trump will not follow through. Trump will not follow through. What were you going to say, Alan?
Congress hasn't given him the war powers, and according to our good Republican friend Phil Meyer, he says that Trump can do whatever he wants for 90 days, and after 90 days he needs the war powers. I don't think it works that way, but
there is some 90-day thing, but I don't think it's about war powers.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe.
Josh might know. I thought Phil was once.
Was he get a 90-day free card or something? What the hell?
Maybe.
I never heard that.
I don't know.
Josh, heard that?
I mean, they have 60 days. I've never heard 90. They have 60 days for limited military action that's designed to give them the power to authorize almost anything, because, the intent behind the law is to allow the commander-in-chief to respond to a crisis or an attack that, needs immediate, it's a clear and present danger to the United States, right? You don't have time to go have a hearing and a vote and, write up a do's and don'ts and all that.
But he was the aggressor.
Right. So, someone, the CIA comes in and says, there's a facility that needs hit because we figured this out, and it needs hit tomorrow night because, this will be there and that'll be there. And
so he's using that.
Right. And if we're going to hit it tomorrow night, we have to move assets starting in the next 5 minutes because the bombers take off from here and then they go there and, blah, blah, blah. Right.
Well, he never.
So we don't have time to go ask Congress. So the president is empowered to do that through the War Powers Act and other things, 60 days. And then when the 60 days expires, legislatively, he is required to ask Congress for the permission and the appropriation to continue.
Yeah, but he has to prove. He also has to prove. He also has to prove a clear and present danger to the United States.
Well, that's what he's using the nuclear bomb for.
They are supposed to, yes, like retroactively, if you will, go back and justify their actions. I think there's probably some pretty broad leeway there. Typically, historically as well, we've always referred to kind of the executive's opinion on that. But the thing is like the law is as open-ended as it can get if Congress doesn't do anything to enforce it.
And if there's a loophole, he'll find it. He bombed them into oblivion in last June.
Yeah.
They supposedly wasted away all the nuclear.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen, obviously. But was that 160-day period. Now you get a reset.
I mean, if the 60 days comes and goes, for example, and Congress doesn't do anything, then nothing matters, right? I mean, the speed limit on my highway here is 55.
Right.
and I just drove past the state highway patrolman sitting in the middle clocking speeders, and I was going 95, but he doesn't pull out and stop me, then what does it, was I wrong?
Right.
Yes, but what was the point? There is no point. I didn't,
a crime was still committed, but nobody went and prosecuted it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, nothing happened.
in Washington.
So,
well, no, but Trump feels he has this get out of jail card with whatever he does, because you say, I'm the president, screw you. I became president so I could get away with any. By the way, I just heard today, okay, do you know how much Trump family has gotten from cryptocurrency? They've made over $2.5 billion.
yeah.
I mean, come on. You're not supposed to get rich while you're president.
Yeah, their level of corruption and insider profiteering is beyond comprehension of anything in the past. But the problem is many of the people who put him there because they were upset about those kinds of things, and they were right to be right because they are wrong. But the problem is with American society right now is even though he's there and he's doing those things, and they know they were duped, and they know they were lied to, and they know that it's completely wrong, we're at a state of political existence where, I can't do anything about it or say anything or whatever because I can't admit that I'm wrong because he's on my team. Okay? We treat the politics now more about our side and about right and left and not like right or wrong, and it's more like a sports team, right? So my sports team is done something wrong, but I can never admit that, because I need them to win, because I have to win, so that's what I'm saying. The people that put him there, they know very well that it is not right for his sons to be investing in things that they know that they have inside information on. It's not right that somebody that they haven't been able to figure out yet is making all these bets on oil futures and all these other things every time he does something to make them go up, and I mean, there's all kinds of corruption.
Look at the Spirit Airline thing. I mean, they want to bail Spirit Airlines out and then resell it later. Who's going to get that money?
And let me mention, it's going to be run by the United States, and who's the president of the United States, and who would be the head of that airline. Yeah. And whatever happened to Trump Airline?
Yeah. There's 3 of them sitting up in some airport up in
somewhere, rusting away.
They're all missing one engine.
The point of his candidacy when it started back when, and even as it's gone on, was to clean up all this corruption and they won't be able to corrupt me because I know the game, but I'm already rich, so I don't need, what I mean? Like, I'm not there to enrich myself because I'm already rich and all that, and I knew it was BS, and I think you knew it was BS, but a lot of people believed it, right? And that's how he got some independence and all that other stuff. And
he had America convinced through a terrible TV show, I might add, that he knew about money.
Yeah.
He knew how to be a billionaire. And by the time he became president, he wasn't a billionaire, and he was ready to pretty much lose what he had.
Yeah, there are people that, I mean, most of these folks know that these things are happening, and they know that it's completely wrong, but they just cannot bring themselves to say, you know what, I was lied to, I was wrong, he is enriching himself, his sons are corrupt, he is corrupt, it's not right. And
except the lady in the gas station.
I shouldn't have voted for him, but I did. But now that he's president, I admit that I was wrong, and I would like for my Congress people and my senators to take action, and rein this in. But they won't do that because they would have to admit that their side made a mistake, that they're losing, and they just are not. We're not in a political state where people are able to function that way or think that way. I mean, and take those kinds of actions. It's just not. We're not there right now. So people can't do it. I mean, they won't do it because they can't admit that they were wrong. So
Well, you know something.
If you bring it up, apparently they had this discussion on CNN last night. I was listening to this conversation on the radio, and everybody was just like, "Well, Hunter Biden did it. Well, Hunter Biden did it. Well, Hunter Biden." Well, if he did, okay, then I said 2-3 years ago, you all will remember me saying, I think he's a snake. Okay, then
okay, but
shouldn't be doing
for
that,
a minute, let's just
prove it and put him away.
Let's just talk about something here that this whole insider trading thing. Okay, it's obvious, and people have pointed out it's obvious that, for instance, there were people that knew in advance that war was going to happen, and they were told so by the president, and they all got very rich out of it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And now the latest thing, do you hear about the guy who was one of the guys that went and got Maduro's? Was in the strike team.
Yeah, he placed that bet.
He placed a bet on one of those, what do you call it? They call them something now.
Yeah, they have
Aeroplay or something like that. It was online betting.
Yeah, online
Put
betting.
$44,000 down and brought back $600,000, I think.
Yeah, because he knew that was going to take place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on, gang. Yes, Alan.
So I think that the reason that you and I are becoming, and anybody else that owns stock, are becoming richer under Trump is because he's manipulating the stock market. He tells his broker and all his rich friends, sell your Apple computer today because tomorrow I'm going to put tariffs on them and their stock's going to plummet. And then a week later, he says to his broker and all his friends, buy it back because I'm going to say it's settled. And it goes up again, higher than it was before. And he's done this time and time again. And to me, it's market manipulation. When Biden was in office, my stock portfolio never went up more than 5,000 and never went down more than 5,000 the whole time he was in office for 4 years. Trump's in office for a year, and I've made, I don't know, maybe $75,000 on my portfolio. And you would think with all the outrageous inflation and jobless rate and everything that the market would be plummeting, but it's not.
Well, if I hadn't bought money used money for my vacation, which is going to be about $40,000 or something like that, very expensive. I would be up about what you're up, okay? Because I'm up about 60,000 on the money I have left.
Right.
Okay, after I spent that 40,000, so you got to figure, probably I'm up about $100,000 if I didn't spend that money.
And companies aren't doing better under Trump.
No,
it's
and
stock
people
market manipulation.
Not everybody owns stock. In fact, very few people in this country truly own any amount of stock. They may have a 401k, but that's just dabbling. And the average person is losing money like crazy. I mean, his gas prices are worse than they've ever been. Grocery prices are terrible. And how dare Trump talk about what prices are at the grocery? He's never been in one in all his life, okay? He doesn't know what the average person has to contend with. I know when I go to the local grocery store, I'm paying at least 50 to 75% more this year than I did a couple of years ago.
The good thing is that we are all, liberal, and the conservatives are having to pay more too.
Well, I look at all these people. I look at all these people in forest fires in places like Oklahoma, and their houses just burned down, or their trailer in most cases, and they are complaining about, I've lost everything. Yeah, but you voted for Trump. Okay, so I'm not going to feel sorry for you.
And when the insurance comes, they'll give Trump more money before they'll rebuild their house.
I got to ask you a quick question about Phil. Even the Republicans, Elizabeth Warren last night on the Colbert Show said that when she would talk to people about a year ago, and you brought up, when they would walk past her, the Republicans, they would look somewhere else. They wouldn't make eye contact. Okay, This year, they're not only not making eye contact, they're looking down at the floor. You know, that they're ashamed of what they're having to do to keep this guy in office. You know?
What was the question?
Huh?
You said you were going to ask me a question.
No, I'm going to ask you a question. So, I mean, we have a common friend who is a staunch Trumper. How can he continue to be that? You know, I mean, and he's not an unsensible human being.
Well, he thinks that the cross-eyed head of the FBI is great, and RFK Jr. is great.
I mean, the drunk at the FBI.
Right, the drunk FBI director.
They had to get a battering ram to knock down his door because they had to get in, and it turned out he was asleep from being drunk.
Yep.
You know, I mean, come on.
And when he was interviewed and this reporter asked him about it, he said, it's all false news. I'm tired of you people asking me about false news. No, there's some pretty good proof that you were drunk.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I don't know. Phil backs Trump. And I believe that that's his true belief in this country. We can believe.
They don't want to admit they're wrong.
Oh, I think that's Phil's problem. He doesn't want to admit he's wrong.
Yeah, you know? That's like
that might
half the
be,
country.
but I don't get that when I talk to him. I get that he is a solid, a log cabin Republican. I mean,
he's not a log cabin Republican.
He belongs.
Well, he's not believe me, being for Trump is not being a Republican. It's being stupid, really.
Yeah.
You know, it really is.
Well, he didn't think Trump would run again. We had conversations, and he was all for DeSantis, and then when DeSantis was out, Ramaswamy, he was out. So he's definitely a party person. He stays with the Republican.
Well, it's fine to be a party person, but you know, you don't know. Oh, I mean, like we have a friend, Patrick, who's a conservative, but he doesn't like Trump. You know, but he's a you can be a conservative and not be for Trump because Trump isn't a conservative.
That's right. I have Republican friends that hate Trump. So
yeah, because they're not, because what they're doing is he's ruining their ideology. You know.
But in this country, you have the right to believe in what you believe in for the most part, and he believes that Trump is doing a good job.
Well, yes, Jeff, you have something to say about this quickly?
Yeah, I'll just say that so many of the things that I hear every day are different. What the president said yesterday and what he's going to change tomorrow. And the senators and the congressmen don't seem to really make real answers about anything.
These Republicans should be ashamed of themselves.
It's
they
a
really
real
should.
Embarrassment.
They're not living up to the. I know a lot of Republicans who are really bothered by Trump and bothered by the way the Republican Party is acquitting themselves. Yes. You know, it's terrible. It's just terrible. Well, you hear that, folks? What is that? Well, we haven't had many people here tonight, but we had a good discussion, didn't we, this evening? It's a good one.
Yeah.
The other people that didn't call, well, usually on Friday nights we get a good bunch of people, but
Charlie's probably doing baseball.
Yeah, it's probably that. Yeah. Well, Brian's doing baseball. That's for damn sure. If there's a game tonight. Jeff, thank you so much for calling. Have a good time down there in Florida, And also thanks to our good friend Kevin up there in Oregon. Hey, you know something? When we started the show with you, the sun was out, and now it's dark out there.
It's pitch black out there.
Pitch black out there. Well, you live in the country. And, of course, Josh, always appreciated. And, Alan? Oh,
Just
boy.
call me Brian.
I'll call you Brian. Thanks for calling tonight. We appreciate it, Alan. And everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. There they go, folks. That's our citizen panel for tonight. There'll be another one a week from now. Well, next Wednesday. But for the time being, you can be happy to deal with Amy Manuel and her intersection, which is next. And if you want to call her, you can call her on Zoom. Just go to column 3 on the gabnet.net page, and her name is at the bottom, and you click on that, and it'll get you to her Zoom. I'll see you again on Monday for the pop-up show. That'll be on Facebook. Then we'll see you right back here next week, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, of course, tell her I love her, okay? Bye.